Hello and welcome. So today we're going to be talking about fragrances that I consider to be timeless. These are what I would call oldies, but definitely goodies. These are fragrances that are not necessarily classics because they're not that old, but they are definitely timeless. And they are not new because I'm sure that you would agree that there's just been so many new releases, and sometimes we have to give love to fragrances that have been around quite a while and that really to this day still touch and make a mark whenever you wear them. So let's go ahead and talk about these 18 fragrances. But before we do so, if this is your first time here, I'm Morahi, and I'm your fragrance concierge because I'm totally committed to creating the best fragrance experience for you. I upload videos multiple times a week, and on this channel, we love to talk about all types of fragrances. So if that sounds like the type of content that you're interested in and like a good plan, then please consider subscribing, give this video a thumbs up, and don't forget, leave a comment. Let's go. All right, so when it comes to fragrances that are a love and that although they are not, I forgot to tell you in the opening that all of the fragrances that I have for you today, one of the conditions is that they had to be either 5 or older, 5 years or older. So as I go along, I will share with you their launch year so that you understand how old they are. But when I tell you that these are all exceptional, you may not enjoy all of them because it really, depends on our preferences. But overall, these are really solid fragrances that although they're not part of the new or the recent launches or new releases, they really do deserve attention. And the good news is that you can get them at a discount because they're not brand new. So of course, as always, I will leave a link to where you can pick up all these fragrances, and I also have a discount code for most of them. So let's go ahead and start. So the first fragrance that I'm going to share with you today is very special to me because it was the first fragrance that I picked up from this fragrance house, and I absolutely love it. So this is from Tiziana Terenzi, and this is Delox. And here is the gorgeous, gorgeous bottle. Now, these bottles are like a weapon. I mean, if you really throw this at someone, you could really, really hurt them. But Delox is a beautiful fragrance that is very, very centric around the note of coffee, but in addition to that, it does have iris, it has some vanilla, it is very ambery, and it has some woody notes. A very, very nicely done fragrance. And if I recall correctly, this is a Paolo Terenzi, which is, Tiziana Terenzi's brother creation. But I have to tell you, this is a fragrance that to me is absolutely timeless. This is the type of fragrance that you could make your signature scent, but you have to be careful not to overspray it or apply too much of it because it is definitely a powerhouse, which seems to be the case with quite the number of Tiziana fragrances. But this is a fragrance house that is exquisite, and Delox is definitely an example of how special they are. Let us know because I know many of you are familiar with Delox and probably even own it. Oh, and I realized that I forgot to tell you that this one was launched in 2017, so it has been around for quite a while. So this next fragrance is really, really special for me because let me tell you the story about this one. So when I initially sniffed this fragrance, this one was launched in 2016, and this one is Tygar from Bvlgari. Now, this is a fragrance that almost everybody that is a fragrance lover is familiar with because, first of all, so many other fragrance houses have tried to not necessarily, I wouldn't say copy this one, but create a scent profile that really attracts as much as this one has. And when I say that, I'm not just talking about affordable Middle Eastern fragrances. No, there's also some serious fragrance houses within the niche world that have launched fragrances that to me immediately remind me of this fragrance. But when it comes to this fragrance, I have to tell you that for me, the most interesting part is that this was originally launched by Bvlgari for the men. But as soon as I sniffed it, I knew that it was a love for me. And it became like a signature scent for quite the number of years. At all that, this is a fragrance that many love. Not just the gents, but quite the number of ladies. It is a fragrance that has a very present note of grapefruit. But in addition to that grapefruit, you're going to find some ginger, and combined together, they are just beautiful. It does have ambroxan, so if you are one of those fam members that is sensitive to it, this one is not for you. At the dry down, you are going to get quite a bit of patchouli. The patchouli is not smooth, it's definitely present. It gives the fragrance a tad of earthiness that I pick up on clearly, but it is a very nicely done, smooth dry down with that patchouli, that tad of earthiness, and that grapefruit, which is truly the star, right along with the ginger. This is a fragrance that is a high compliment getter. When I tell you, you are going to get compliments all day, every day with this fragrance, but it is so versatile because you can dress it down, you can dress it up, you can take it to the office, to a gala, just about any occasion, day or night. And for me, this is a year-round wear. Let us know if you're familiar with it and your thoughts. This next fragrance is from Initio, and this one is Atomic Rose. And here is the gorgeous bottle. Now, Atomic Rose is a 2019 launch. And for me, this is a must if you are a roses fragrances lover, because this is not your regular rose scent whatsoever. This is a rose fragrance that has quite a bit of character, and it is unapologetic in being all about the rose. It does have some spicy notes you are going to pick up clearly on like pink pepper. To me, it's more of like a mix of pink and black pepper, but hey, I could be totally wrong. The opening is a little bit citrusy and a bit airy, which helps because immediately after that initial opening, you're going to be hit with a blast of rose. And that rose is not a freshly bloomed rose. It is a tad jammy to my nose and on my skin, but it really doesn't have a dated scent. It's not going to make you smell dated in any kind of way, but it is definitely a very present rose scent. In addition to that rose, there's, if I recall correctly, some jasmine, but I don't pick up on jasmine whatsoever. And I also can tell you that the dry down is quite ambery, and there is a good bit of vanilla here. Not a lot, but you are definitely going to pick up on the vanilla. But the vanilla is not the star. The star of this fragrance is definitely the rose. This is a fragrance that if you are a serious rose lover, you could make your signature scent, and it will take you for any occasion. But for me, this is not for a casual occasion. You can wear it to the office, but again, I would not, wear this like to go to the gym or any occasion where I'm going to perspire, because this is a serious beast mode performing fragrance. This will exceed the 8-hour mark without having to overspray. Anyway, I know many of you are very familiar with Atomic Rose, so please let us know your thoughts. The next fragrance that I want to share with you is from L'Orchestre Parfum, and no, it is not Piano Santal, it is Bouquet Encore. And here is the gorgeous bottle. Now, Bouquet Encore is an incredible fragrance that has a very present note of tuberose, and it has some beautifully done spicy notes. This is a fragrance that I think is the only one that I pulled because this was launched in 2020, and it does not exceed the 5 years, so it's been around for like 5 years. So this one could be considered an oldie but a goodie, especially since we've had so many releases through the years. But when it comes to this fragrance, I tell you, it is so underrated to me, because while I love Piano Santal and I own it, I think that this is an exquisitely done fragrance. This is a fragrance that I did not pick up until not too long ago, but as soon as it came into my collection, I thought, wow, we are all really sleeping on this fragrance because it is absolutely beautiful. There is some vanilla here also, but primarily for me, to my nose and on my skin, this fragrance is really all about those white florals and the spicy notes. So this next fragrance is from Lalique, and this one is Lalique Le Parfum. So this is a fragrance that I was watching Veronica Says the other day, and she shared this fragrance and it brought it back to mind. And this is a Dominique Ropion creation. And this is a fragrance that, if I recall correctly, was launched in 2005. So it's been around for quite a while. I mean, we're talking about 20 years, right? But this is such a beautifully done fragrance. Here you have some spicy notes. It has an opening that is not necessarily airy or freshy, but it's not, dense in any kind of way, I guess is what I'm trying to say. But even though it has that opening, it has also a warmth to it, I guess, coming from the spicy notes that makes it a very nice fit for the fall season. I also clearly pick up here at the dry down on, of course, the woody notes, but there's tonka. And that tonka on my skin pulls a little vanillic. There is vanilla here. This to me is not a vanilla bomb in any kind of way, but there is a certain level of a vanillic effect to it that I'm absolutely loving. I also pick up on a tad of a nutty quality, which, if I recall correctly, is coming from the note of almond. But this is a beautiful, beautiful fragrance that is definitely an oldie, but a goodie. And at that, you can get it at such a reasonable price right now because it's been around that long. Let us know if you've tried Lalique Le Parfum and your thoughts. So since we touched on a Dominique Ropion fragrance, I figured that we would continue with one of my favorites from him. And I have so many fragrances that I love from Dominique Ropion. I think I need to do like a Dominique Ropion focus video at some point. But this one is Portrait of a Lady. And here you have it. Now, this is a fragrance this is my second bottle because when it was first launched, I could not stop using this fragrance. So I immediately went through a very tiny bottle. It wasn't a decant. It was like, if I recall correctly, it was maybe a 30 ml or something like that. And then I upgraded to this size. But this is truly a timeless fragrance that speaks to the scent of a very sophisticated lady. This is a fragrance that you could make your signature scent, but for me, it is more of a special occasions type of fragrance. When I want to feel a certain kind of way, I don't want to wear this to the office every day or make it my signature scent because I want to save it for when I want to smell special. This fragrance was launched in 2010, but the thing here is that, so it's very interesting to me because here you have some floral notes, some spicy notes, some fruity notes. You have raspberry, you have blackcurrant, you have rose, you have some patchouli. But at all that, you also have like a smoky quality to the fragrance because there is incense in this fragrance. But although you have all those notes going on, at the dry down, you get the most exquisite blend of a very rare fragrance that has the note of rose like at the center of it all. To me, there is quite nothing like this in my collection, truly. And when it comes to Dominique Ropion, he has other rose-centric fragrances that I've tried through time, and really none are like this one. This is a very, very special creation. But at that, I will tell you that like most Frederic Malle fragrances, in my opinion, this is not a safe blind buy. This is not one that you want to pick up without trying on skin properly before deciding to commit to a full bottle. This is definitely not necessarily a polarizing fragrance, but it's just not what I would consider to be a crowd pleaser, but truly a timeless masterpiece. So next we have a fragrance from Tom Ford, and this I would consider to be one of the Tom Ford classics because we're speaking about Noir de Noir. And here is the gorgeous bottle. Now this is a fragrance that was launched in 2007, but this is truly a timeless gem. There is such a cult following behind this fragrance. This is one that you definitely want to get your nose on as soon as you can. This is a fragrance that is definitely perfect if you want to make it a signature scent. It is sweet, but not very sweet. It has a note of truffle in it that while you do pick up kind of on it, it's really not about that. To me, this fragrance is more about the entire blend. You are going to pick up on certain notes in the olfactory journey, but what has always really taken me by this fragrance is that final dry down scent, which is absolutely exquisite. This is elegance in a bottle for sure. This is like someone dressed completely in black, totally done and ready to take on the world, much like a Tom Ford. That is how I felt about it from the beginning. But this is a fragrance that you could use for just about any occasion, just not for very, very casual. I just don't think it's a proper fit. But this is also unisex. This does not lean to the feminine or to the masculine side. To me, this is truly a unisex fragrance, but at that, oh, and so addictive. I just love to sniff this fragrance. This is just absolutely incredible. Let us know if you are one of those cult followers under the Noir de Noir family. Now, this next fragrance is from BDK, and this one is Tubereuse Imperiale. And here is the beautiful bottle. Now, this is a fragrance that if you are a tuberose lover, you have to get your nose on it, because to me, this is a timeless, beautiful, tuberose-centric fragrance. But at that, it is a perfect combination of like white and yellow florals. But the lead, beyond a shadow of a doubt, of all of the florals is the tuberose. In addition to that, then you also have some iris, which makes the dry down quite powdery. The tuberose here is not one of those heady, obnoxious, way too much overpowering type of tuberose notes. No, here it has been done very nicely. It's not smooth because this is designed to give you quite the dose of tuberose, but at that, it's not like a bit much or headache inducing. Another thing about this fragrance is that it has in the backdrop also like some woody notes. You're going to clearly pick up on, that woodiness at the dry down, which is a little bit like creamy. There's also some patchouli. The patchouli is quite present. It's not faint, but at least it's not earthy. But it is a patchouli that, while being done very nicely, it is present. So to a certain extent, you have to really enjoy two notes, the patchouli and the tuberose. At least that's what I get on my skin and to my nose. But at all that, to me, this is an absolutely beautiful fragrance that you definitely need to try. And at that, it was launched in 2016. So right now you can get it at a great discount. I would say that this is a safe blind buy if you are truly a tuberose lover, but if you are not much into the note of tuberose or here and there, I definitely think that you first should try it before committing to a full bottle. But this is a great, great fragrance for a true tuberose lover. So this next fragrance is from Memo Paris, and I don't get to talk enough about Memo compared to how much I love that fragrance house. I own over 10 bottles of Memo and counting, because it is rare that I sniff a Memo Paris fragrance that I don't fall automatically in love with. And African leather is at the top of my list. So here is the beautiful, beautiful bottle. So African leather, as the name says it, is a fragrance that really is about the note of leather. But at that, this was the fragrance that really converted me into a leather fragrances lover, because there is something so exquisitely addictive about this fragrance. Please let us know if you've tried it. So African leather was launched in 2015, and it is a mix of like leather and spicy notes. It's a very, very ambery fragrance that speaks to me clearly to the seasons of fall, winter, and maybe the opening of spring, but never on a warm day, because this fragrance is also a powerhouse. I love this fragrance so much that I even have the entire, all the body products, because it is absolutely incredible. It is a fragrance that you could make your signature scent, but again, only during cool weather. If you are a leather fragrances lover, you are going to automatically fall in love with this. If you at times like leather and at other times you don't, you may want to try it, but I have the feeling that you're going to be rather surprised at how much you love it, because there's just something in here. When I first read the notes of this fragrance, I thought that it was not going to be a love. So it took me a while to get to it. But once I picked it up, I was definitely hooked for a period of 6 months or over 6 months. I just continuously pulled this fragrance because I was enthralled by how the leather had been done. And at that, you know, you do have some spicy notes. If I recall correctly, you have cardamom, pink pepper, and then you also have that leather, and then there's patchouli. So it's loaded with some serious notes. There is a floral presence that I pick up in the olfactory journey, but not necessarily at the dry down, because at the dry down, what I'm getting is a tad spicy, very ambery, leather-centric fragrance that is absolute elegance and sophistication in a bottle for sure. That you could make this your signature scent. This for me is very much unisex. It really does not lean to the masculine or to the feminine side. Let us know if you've tried African leather and your thoughts. So another oldie but a goodie that I'm not going to spend a lot of time on because I just featured it in a video last week, but I had to pull it because this is truly, to me, like a timeless fragrance that if you add it to your collection, you're just going to keep picking up the bottle, believe me. And this one is from Chanel, and this is Beige. So when I talked to you about it last week, I told you that this is a fragrance that what I love about it is, although it has like hawthorn and freesia and other florals, what I love about this fragrance is the way that the note of honey has been done. The note of honey here, while being realistic, it's also very smooth. You know, because the honey note can pick up on a little bit of funk here and there, but not with this fragrance. So Beige was launched in 2016 and it has been a hit. To me, it is my favorite from the Exclusives collection of Chanel for sure. Coromandel would be my number 2, but Beige to me is truly timeless and a lifer in my collection. Let us know if you've tried Beige or any of the Exclusives from Chanel fragrances, and what is it that you like about them? Which ones do you recommend? The next fragrance that I want to share with you is one of the true oldies in this lineup, and this one is from Mugler, and this is Alien. And this is the original Alien. This is not, you know, because there's been, I don't know how many flankers. I have like 3 additional flankers, but this one is definitely the original. And to me, this is the one that will be timeless. You know, I did go through a period where I absolutely loved this fragrance. It is no longer a deep love for me. And for me, this is like a true timeless fragrance. This is all about white florals on a very ambery scent, because as soon as you sniff this fragrance, you're going to get that amber quality to the fragrance, surrounded, to call it something, by all those white florals. And I can't distinguish one white floral from the other. I really can't. Here, for me, it is all about that exquisitely done blend. But I know that Alien, the entire collection, has its own cult following. To me, this is my favorite, followed by Alien Goddess for sure. Let us know if you've ever owned any of the Alien fragrances. Which one is your favorite? What do you love about it? Do you still pull it quite frequently? Let us know. So nowadays, I hear so much conversation around the Christian Louboutin fragrances. We have Fétiche La Rose. You guys know that from that entire Fétiche line, which is a very new line. It was just launched last year, I think. But anyway, so that entire Fétiche line is very nice. But for me, you know, there's La Rose. Liqueur is my favorite. I recently featured it in one of these videos. But I have to tell you, my love will still always continue to be with this line. The line that has these bottles, and this is LoubiRouge. This is an outstanding and incredible fragrance. And they have only shared 3 notes to this fragrance, but I promise you, there's quite the collection. Because here you have cardamom, you have iris, and you have vanilla. Those are the 3 notes that they have disclosed. But as soon as you sniff this fragrance, first of all, what you're going to get is a blast of vanilla. And at that, it is spicy, and you clearly pick up on the cardamom. But then as the journey continues, I'm telling you, and I have said this so many times, there's so many other notes here. Do I think that the notes, the 3 notes that they've shared, are the keynotes? Absolutely. I do believe that those are the keynotes. But there, to me, there's other notes involved in this fragrance for sure. Now, LoubiRouge was launched in 2020, and Although it's only been in my collection for 5 years, I can tell you that this one is one that I never want to run out of. And I hope that they're not planning to discontinue this line, because I own quite the number of their bottles. And every time I have the opportunity to pick up another, because they're quite pricey, or I find it at a good discount, I pick it up if I don't have it, because I do love this entire collection. And at that, I love the bottles. I think that the bottles are so different. They're beautiful display pieces. I really do enjoy this collection. So I hope that they don't discontinue it. Even though I am enjoying Fetiche, this one is still my favorite. Let us know if you've tried any of the fragrances in this collection, and what do you think about them? Which one is your favorite? The next fragrance that I have for you is from the house of Moresque. And this is a house that I think is so underrated. I don't hear people talk about it much. Every so often, I'll hear someone talk about it here or there. But they have so many fragrances that are truly, truly exceptional. And this one happens to be my favorite. Now, I am speaking about Seta. And Seta is a fragrance that was launched in 2018. This is absolutely beautiful. The thing about Seta is that it has some spicy notes, some citrusy notes, but for me, this fragrance is all about the note of Lang Lang. To me, this is a yellow floral centric fragrance with touches of iris, which give it a powdery dry down. The thing about Seta is that to me, it is very Lang Lang centric. They have not, said so, but for me, this is all about a very nicely done vanilla, a good bit of vanilla, because as soon as you sniff it, you're going to get vanilla. And you're also going to get that Lang Lang. You're going to get some citrusy notes, some spicy notes, where the one that stands out the most is the saffron. And if I recall correctly, there's some myrrh. But this fragrance is just perfection. Please let us know if you've tried Moresque. So this is a fragrance that you could make your signature scent. For me, it does lean a tad to the feminine side, but you can use it for any season of the year, for any occasion, day or night. A very, very beautiful and versatile fragrance. The next fragrance is definitely an oldie, but how could you talk about oldies but goodies and timeless fragrances without bringing up at least one of the musk fragrances from Narciso Rodriguez? And within all his musk fragrances, my favorite will continue to be Pure Musk for Her. Now, Pure Musk for Her is a fragrance that was initially launched in 2019. And to me, this was a game changer because the musk here is so absolutely impeccable. This fragrance is so addictive. Whenever I film a fragrance video related to perfumes that I think are perfect for, nighttime or when you're ready to go to sleep, this one would be at the top of my list because this is such a soothing, beautiful musk. It is a sweet fragrance where the musk really is the star of the fragrance. So you have to enjoy a good musk. But this is not an animalic in any kind of way fragrance. It has a very present note of orange blossom. It does have, to my nose, vanilla, but it is really all about that musk. And at that, it has been done absolutely beautiful. If you've tried this Pure Musk fragrance for her, let us know because I want to know if I'm the only one. This one is a lifer for me. That is how special this musk is. I just think that Narciso has it really down when it comes to musk-centric fragrances. Although I said that this is perfect for when you're going to sleep at night, I don't want you to be confused and think that that's the only use that I see for it. Oh no, if you are a musk lover, you can use this for any occasion, day or night. You can dress it up, you can dress it down, you can take it to the office to go work out. Absolutely anything, any season of the year, any occasion, any age. To me, this does lean to the feminine side, but I can see a gentleman wearing it, especially if you layer it with more of a woody centric fragrance. That would be beautiful. But all in all, to me, this is a timeless, truly an oldie, but absolute goodie type of fragrance. Let us know if you've tried it or if you own it and how you feel about it. Now, the next fragrance is one that was launched in 2018, if I recall correctly. And when it was first launched, like within the first 2 years, there was so much conversation around it, in all platforms. But now I rarely hear anybody talk about it. And to me, this is timeless. This is definitely an oldie but a goodie. And this one is Sultan from Royal Crown. This fragrance, first of all, let me tell you, this is no joke. This is a powerhouse. Let me share with you the bottle before I start talking about it. So although the bottle looks black to you, because I'm seeing it here that it's showing up as black, this is really more of a hunter green colored bottle. Now, here's the thing about Sultan. This is a no joke unisex fragrance. This does not lean to the masculine nor to the feminine side. This is very, very much unisex. But at that, to me, the star of this fragrance is really the note of dates, followed by the oud. And the oud here, while very, very present, it's really not barnyardish in any kind of way, but it is definitely an oud. You need to be an oud fragrances lover in order to enjoy this fragrance. At that, it does have vanilla, and it has other notes that make quite the difference. The beauty of it is not just that it has the dates and it has the oud, but it also has vanilla. And there is a certain degree of fruitiness that you're going to pick up in the opening. But that fruitiness at the dry down goes away and makes way clearly for the note of dates, because at the dry down, what I pick up on is an oud and dates centric fragrance that is sweet, but not very sweet, on a backdrop of woody notes. It is a very dark, dense, cold weather fragrance. This is not one that you want to pull during the spring. Not in my opinion. No spring, no summer whatsoever, because this will definitely choke you. Believe me, I've tried that. But this is a fragrance this is one of my favorites. I think it's first Nocturna and then Sultan and then Czar when it comes to these fragrances. I really, really do love Royal Crown. But I have to tell you, this is not one to play with, but definitely an oldie, but a real, real goodie. Next, we have a fragrance from Bond Number 9. And you guys know how I love Bond Number 9, so there's no way that I wasn't going to pull an oldie. And this one is New York Nights. And here is the beautiful bottle. Now, New York Nights is a fragrance that was launched in 2017. And the thing about this fragrance is, number one, for me, this is completely addictive. This is really very much about the note of coffee at the dry down. But in the opening, that's not necessarily what I get. In the opening, what I get is a certain degree of a floral quality with a tad of like an aquatic vibe to it that does not speak to spring or summer whatsoever. To me, this is truly a fall, winter, and beginning of spring, a very cool spring day. This fragrance is an absolute pleasure to wear because it is such a high compliment getter. And it is a fragrance that will add a pep to your step. I don't know what they did here, but this is one Bond Number 9 fragrance that you definitely want to try. Is it my favorite for like the fall and winter season? No, because Nomad took that spot. But this one, when it comes to these seasons where it's cool weather, very, very impressive. It's this one and Nomad and Chelsea Nights for me. So at the dry down, what I get is like a caramel infused kind of coffee, which makes the scent sweet on a backdrop of like some woody notes with a touch of like a patchouli that's a tad earthy to my nose and on my skin, but that adds quite a bit of character to this gem because this is an incredible fragrance. Let us know if you've tried New York Nights and what you think about it, because sometimes I'm just curious, am I the only one that sees it in a certain way? For me, this is a fragrance that is suitable for the ages of 25 plus. You could make it your signature scent. If you like that scent of coffee, this is not going to make you smell like a barista. It is a very nicely blended at the dry down fragrance, but it is definitely a fragrance that is going to make you smell to a certain extent like coffee. But at that, a caramelly, sweet, yummy, delicious, incredible, with quite a bit of woodiness in the backdrop kind of coffee. So next we have a fragrance from Amouage. And this is, if I recall correctly, this is a 2019 launch, I'm pretty sure, yeah, because I'm relating it to certain events that were going on that year. But this was a 2019 launch, and I'm talking about Portrayal Woman. And look at this exquisitely beautiful, beautiful bottle. Ah, so nice. But here's the thing about Portrayal. So this is the type of fragrance that I don't know whether to tell you that this is a safe blind buy or not, because to me the scent is absolutely exquisite. But in the true fashion of an Amouage fragrance, you may want to try it on skin and see how you feel about it, because this is a powerhouse. This is a fragrance that has some white florals presence, where, if I recall correctly, the jasmine is the star, but I pick up on florals, not just on the jasmine. Amouage is one of those houses that will not disclose all the notes involved in a fragrance, but you will most likely pick up on different notes in the olfactory journey. But at the dry down, you're getting an exquisitely done blend. But for me, this fragrance is all about like the white florals with a big hug of a good amount of vanilla, where there's also some tobacco. But in addition to that tobacco, I have to tell you that I pick up on a certain degree of smokiness. There's a smoky quality to the scent, especially at the dry down. I don't know if you've tried Portrayal Woman. Can you let us know? Do you pick up on that smokiness that I'm talking about, or do you just get the tobacco? Now, the tobacco is not a moist tobacco either. To me, it's a bit of a dry tobacco, and it is a very present note, but done very nicely. Again, for me, this would be a safe blind buy, but I'm so used to Amouage fragrances. But Amouage is not necessarily a brand that I ever recommend that you pick up or you blind buy, because you may not enjoy the scent. But at all, to me, this is definitely an oldie but a goodie, and definitely a timeless scent. You can wear this for just about any occasion, but I would reserve this for like late afternoon into the evening and late night. To me, this is not a signature scent type of fragrance, because I would not wear this to the office, nor for a very, very casual type of occasion. And I think it is perfection for fall, winter, and the opening of spring. But other than that, it will definitely choke you. So you want to reserve it for cooler weather. Again, let us know if you've tried it. So next and last, of course, you guys know I was not going to have this lineup without bringing a Xerjoff fragrance. And the one that I'm going to share with you today is so special. It was my signature scent for quite the number of years. I've discussed it here on the channel so many times because I absolutely love it. And I am speaking, of course, about Xerjoff. And I could have pulled, you know, Ivory Root, which was I think Ivory Route was like 2012, or I could have pulled La Capitale, which was 2018, or I could have pulled Starlight, which was 2019. But I decided to go with Richwood. And here is the gorgeous, gorgeous bottle. So Richwood is a fragrance that is true elegance and sophistication in a bottle for sure. This is a fragrance that opens up very citrusy. There's quite the number of citrusy notes here, but don't be confused. There's nothing fresh or airy about this fragrance at the dry down. To me, this is truly a dense fragrance. And at that, let me just start by saying that while you could get away with wearing it on a warm summer day, this is not a hot weather fragrance in my opinion whatsoever. This is really more fall, winter, opening of spring, and any day that is a little bit warm, but not quite much. Richwood also has a certain degree of fruitiness to it because it does have some blackcurrant. That is the one fruit note that I do pick up. And it does have some woodiness. There's some sandalwood, I think patchouli if I recall correctly. But when I tell you that this is a masterpiece from Xerjoff, this is one of my favorite Xerjoff fragrances. Truly a masterpiece. This is a fragrance that you could make your signature scent during cooler weather or not too hot weather months or seasons. It is perfection for the office if you have an important meeting or you have an important gathering or you're going to an event. You know, it is versatile, but it is a fragrance that has a specific scent of like wealth and riches and opulence. This is not a gym type of fragrance for me. This is not a cool autumn festival type of scent, you know, like the scent that you would wear to an autumn festival. This is not it either. To me, this speaks to a more, not necessarily formal, but more of a put together kind of occasion. But at that, it is a fragrance that you can use for whatever you want, because remember, we use what we want, when we want, and how we want. But at that, I think that Richwood is one that you definitely need to get your nose on. All in all, you know, Richwood is just a pleasure to have. And to me, it is definitely timeless. It is a lifer for me, and it is definitely an oldie, but a goodie. All right, fam, so we've reached the end of today's video, and I hope that this was enjoyable for you. This was very enjoyable for me. There's so many other fragrances that I wanted to pull and share with you, but I did want to make sure that all the fragrances that I shared with you today were fragrances suitable for the season that we're in here in the US, which is fall and then winter and the opening of spring primarily. And I also wanted to make sure that they were fragrances that were really, really special and that I could find for you at a discount. Anyway, as always, thank you so much for hanging with me. If you have any questions, you know where to find me. Let us know if you've tried or you own any of these fragrances, and I will see you all in the next video.